more exercise, right? So you can see a write a program to enter any number and calculate product of its digit. It means someone is entering 1 2 3, then in output we want 1 multiplied by 2 multiplied by 3, then output should be 6, right? That is what we want. So how we can do this? So for this again we can try for loop, while loop, any loop we can try. Right now I am trying with for loop. If you want, let's try with while loop, right? So suppose user is giving some input to us. That input will be number, right? Suppose we are taking our input and asking user to enter a number. Okay, enter a number, and then we are converting this into int, right? Of course we can, here as you see, we tried like this sum operation. We can also find some way for product also, right? Here we can also write in that way, but we are following this approach because generally if you solve this in interview in that way, he will again ask you the way like this, right? So what happens in Python, most of the functions are ready-made available. So interviewer knows that you are going to use the ready-made functions, but he will insist you to write your own logic, right? So that is why we are writing in that way. That is the reason, right? So when user will give this number, let's try with while loop. While loop will have here condition, right? If else condition, right? For example, here what I will do is that number is greater than 0. I am taking condition, this number should be greater than 0. Alright, okay. Now what I will do is the same approach, because I need these numbers, right? The same approach that I used here I will use here. I just need a remainder here, right? R, which is remainder of modulo operator by 10. It will give us last digit, right? So we need to multiply this. How we will multiply this? We will take product equals to 1. We can't take 0, right? As I told you last time also, when we were solving one program, in that we were finding the factorial, in that we were taking factorial as 1, right? Because 1 is the identity of product. If you multiply anything with 1, you will get the same number, right? So that is why we are taking 1. If you will take 0, then it will give the 0 result, right? So after that, num is equals to num, okay, sorry, before this, p is equals to p multiplied by r. We are doing product here. Then we will double divide this by 10, just like the same logic you can see here. Instead of plus, we are doing here multiply. Instead of 0, we are putting here 1, and we are trying to solve with while loop, right? So every time this number will reduce, right, by 1 decimal point. Ultimately when it will less than 0, it will be out of this loop, right? So we are putting here condition, and we don't need here increment and anything, all right? And we just need to print product, right, comma p, or if you want to, you can take this name as product, right? If you are feeling like what this p is, right, product. So naming should be, remainder I am taking it as rem, right? So naming convention should be understandable, right? So let me run this. So input variable is it will take some time because we are executing first time. You can see here orange 3 dot here, it will convert into green. Then we are, because it is attaching a virtual machine to this notebook ultimately. So suppose number is 1 2 3, right? Product is 6. Now how it is 3 4 5 60, right? Now how this logic is working, let me explain you here, right? Okay, because, and these logic will, if you build these program, these logic will help you a lot in competitive programming, right? So I think it's a good way to revise all these things, right? So what I'm saying is, suppose the number is 1 2 3. I want its product, right? So what I will do is, every time I try to find a remainder. So here remainder is 3, right? And I need to, and next time I want 2. So what I will do is, I will double divide this by 10. So it will only give output 12, because this double division operator removes the decimal part, right? So it only remain 12. In hex iteration, we will take 12 modulo 10, the output will be 2, right? In next, this 12 will become 1, then 1 modulo 10, then your remainder will be 1. So each time you are getting 3 2 1, what we will do is, we will take another variable p, and each time we try to multiply p with this remainder r, right? So every time it will multiply with this. First, the 1 multiplied by 3 will become 3, then 3 multiplied by 2 will become 6, and 6 multiplied by 1 will become 6, and then 6 will be your output. So ultimately, okay, at the end, this 1, when we double divide this one, then output will be 0. So our condition in while loop, if you see, while num is greater than 0, right? Colon here, then r or remainder is equals to num modulo 10, and p, suppose p is equals to 1 here, p multiplied by remainder, right? And num is equals to num double divided by 10, sorry. Now when it will become 1, it will 0, then when at the end it will become 0, then it will out of this loop, because 0 is greater than 0 will be false, right? So we don't need any increment here. But in general, how we execute while loop is, right? Yeah, instead of this, you can also do, let me run this again. Instead of this, I will take 1 2 3 4 5. You can see here 120, right? So any number you will give, it will work. Yeah, of course we can try with some list kind of thing, or try with that, right? But these logics should be there, because these are logics coming from C++. So sometimes they focus on this logic, not sometimes, most of the time they focus on these logics. So that is why I am explaining you this one, right? So let me now explain you while logic, right? While loop, we have seen an example, right? So here, yeah, sure. Yeah, 0, right. So suppose 1 2 3 and 0, right? Then 1, okay, then its output is 0. Absolutely right. Yeah. Okay, let's move to while. Like, so we have seen for loop, how we were writing in range, right? Range, suppose we want to run this 5 times, print I, right? So it will print 0 1 2 3 4, n minus 1. Always remember, it will print till n minus 1, right? Range is just similar to your indexing or slicing, right? Again, it will take a minute because it is first time. Now same thing if I want to do with while, just I need to give here one condition, that I is less than 5, right? But before this I need to define I, so I am defining I with 0, right? Then I will print I, right? And also I need to do increment, I plus equals to 1, I plus equals to 1, 0 1 2 3 4. So this is your increment, this is your initialization, and this is your printing. So you can see for loop is more convenient than while loop. So nobody uses while. I have not seen while. That is why I told you in Python 80% time people use for loop, 80% time. right? But in some cases you need, then you can try while, right? Otherwise 80% time people will use while, sorry, for loop. 80% time people will use, not 80%, but I have seen in 90% cases, I have seen code of very big companies, they were not using while loop until there is a necessary. Most of the time people use for loop, right? So you should be good and competent in for loop. Of course you should know while loop how, because there might be some cases you need it, right? Now suppose okay, we need to reverse a number, right? The same logic we can use here. Write a program to enter any number and print a reverse of that number. Reverse, suppose input is 1 2 3, we want output is 3 2 1, right? Suppose input is 1 2 4 2 3 4 2 1, right? Then we should give it 1 2 4 2 1. It is same, right? So this can be, you can say, palindrome, right? But what we want to reverse it. How we can reverse it? Again we will use the same approach, right? We will use the same approach. If I will use the same logic, just see here, what I will do is, instead of product, I will use sum. I can't use sum, yeah, maybe I can use, but sum is a keyword, right? So instead of sum I am using s0, right? Product I am using s and s here and plus remainder. Now I will multiply by 10 here, that's it. If I will multiply by 10, it will do the reverse of that number. Reverse, sorry, s and reverse number, reversed number. Okay, for example, input you have given 153. Sorry, I forgot to multiply by 10. 153, you can say 351, right? 351. It just reversed. How? I just multiply s by 10. Every time what will happen, let me explain you this logic here. Okay, we were using the same logic, right? Here let me take the eraser, right? I am removing these two lines only, right? Now what I am doing is, I am taking s here 0 and s is equals to s plus remainder. If I will do, it will give me the sum of that number. Suppose number is 1 2 3, it will give me 6, because 1 plus 2 plus 3. Now I am multiplying by 10. Now I am multiplying by 10. Why? Suppose number is 1 2 3, right? Now initially I will get here remainder 3, 1 2 3, remainder 10. Then s is equals to, then s is your 0. 0 into 10 plus 3, it will become 3, right? And here 1 2 3 double divide by 10 will become your only 12. In next iteration, when, because this loop will run multiple times until it satisfies the condition. Now when this will be 12, it will check condition 12 is greater than 0. Condition 2, it will go inside it, inside of this. Now it will again find the remainder. Instead of 123, it will have only 12. If we find modulo by 10, remainder will be 2. Now here we can see s is equals to 3. 3 multiplied by 10 plus 2, which will become 32. And this number will become 12 divided by, double divided by 10, so it will become 1. Now next time, let me change the color here. When next time it will execute, the number is 1. 1 is greater than 0. Condition is true, it will go inside. When you find a remainder of 1, it will be 1. So you can see a 32, this 32 multiplied by 10 plus 1, it will become 321, right? And then this 1 double divided by 10 will become 0. Now 0 is less than 0, condition false, it will come out of this, and whatever print statement you will have, it will execute. So the remainder, you can see s is value is 321, it will print s value 321. So that is how I am reversing a number, right? Of course you can use other way to do this. You can think of those ways and try, but I'm trying in that way. The reason is, again, if you try with these loop, and I will suggest you first try to solve these problem via these list operations or string operations that we were trying yesterday, right? You can try this, but ultimately when you solve this, interviewer will ask you, no, I want your own logic, don't use this, then you can explain this logic. So it will take some time of your interview also, because ultimately in interview, suppose you have 30 minutes, you have to consume those 30 minutes effectively, and interviewer should feel that you know the things. Ultimately you do some time pass also in interview, and showcase him that I started with the basic, but I know the logic also. Yeah.